Kung marinig mo ako, palakpak ng dalawa. Ba't kaya? Buat palakpak and then balik naman ulit sa... Alright, kahapon di pa tayo tapos sa principles. So, kunting review lang. What is a principle? I can't hear you. Something that never changes. Kahit anong kultura, kahit anong lugar, kahit anong panahon, it is a guidance, it is a rule that never changes. Okay, what is an application? The outcome or the way to do that rule, kung paano gawin yung rule na yan, sa iyong specific na kultura, sa iyong specific na lugar. Alright? Alam kong nami-miss na ninyo ang aking galing sa art. Kaya, bigyan ko kayo ng another sample. Ano ang batas ng Panginoon? Yeah? What is God's law? It's probably correct answers. Hindi ko lang marinig. Love. Okay. All right. So we have love God and we have love others. Now, this is a funny thing about principles. Many times, principles can be nesting. Parang may sub-principle at may iba't ibang isang application ay magiging principle naman for a different. Okay? So, itong love God and love others, nabubuo sa... Hindi ko talaga marinig ang sinasabi ninyo. You have to speak louder than the kids. Ang love for God and love for others ay nabubuo sa... Love. Right. Now, ayon kay Mrs. White, before sin, back before the great controversy, hindi kailangan ng mga batas-batas. Isa lang talagang batas. Kasi without a broken character, naturally, alam natin kung paano i-apply. We know how to apply the character of love or the principle of love. Pero after sin, dahil sa ating broken character, kailangan na ng mga paliwanag kung paano gawin ang pag-ibig. So God gave us 6 applications of the principle of love God. What are those applications? I'm sorry, 4. Thank you. 4 applications. Ano yun? Okay? No other gods. I think that's right. Okay, what's the next one? Okay. No images. Next one? Okay. No vain name. Okay. What else? Sabbath. Okay, and then what are the 6 applications for how to love people? Okay. And then? Okay. No killing. And then? No adultery. No stealing. No. And no coveting. Okay. So do you see that the fundamental principle ay may dalawang application na nagiging sub-principle? And then these have applications. Paano nga mahalin ng Panginoon? Kung talagang mahal ko ang Panginoon, then I will not have other gods. Because He's the only one that's real. If I really love God, then I won't take His name in vain. Which doesn't just mean don't curse. What if I say that I'm a Christian? but I don't act like a Christian. Okay? That's taking God's name in vain. How about no killing? By the way, alam niyo ba yung actual Hebrew? Murder. Kasi kung talagang no killing, then hindi pwede talaga magkatay ng tupa. But God told us to kill, told them to kill lambs. It's not no killing, it's no murder. And what is murder? Anong ibig sabihin ng murder? Planned. Okay. There's premeditated murder, but there's also, it's not always premeditated. Okay, sinadya mo, but not always sadya. Murder is killing someone who is innocent with no judicial process. So, hindi dinaan sa proseso ng trial at innocent yung tao na yan. Hindi karapat-dapat na papatayin. Okay. So, let me ask you about murder. Yeah. So, kawawa si Michael ngayong umaga. What if I really, really didn't like Michael and kumuha ko, naghiram ako ng baril. Hindi pumayag ang ilong ko. Okay, so, ayaw ko talaga si Michael, naghiram ako ng baril at binaril ko siya sa ulo, namatay na siya. Murder ba yun or hindi? Murder. Pinatay ko siya, wala siyang kasalanan karapat dapat patayin at walang judicial process. Okay. How about, wala akong access to baril, kaya I got a knife. At sinaksakan ko siya. Did I murder him? I did murder him. Now, how about, wala akong access to kutsilyo or baril, pero bumili ako ng lason. At nilagay ko sa kaniyang pagkain yung lason. Kilkig yung tawag sa amin. Alam ba ninyo yung kilkig? Yeah. Anyway. So, nilason ko si Michael. Did I murder him or no? I did murder him. Okay. So there are many ways pala na mag-murder. How about if the poison that I bought ay hindi agad-agad namatay si Michael? Mamayang hapon pa bago namatay siya. Did I still murder him? Okay. What about if the poison that I bought takes 3 days bago mamamatay siya? Is it still murder? Okay. What about if it takes a month before he dies? Is it still murder? Okay. What if it takes a year before he dies? Is it still murder? Okay. What if it takes 20 years? And because of that poison, he develops really bad cancer and dies of that cancer. Okay. So, where do we find the health laws? Saan makikita ang health laws dito sa 10 utos? It's right here. It's right here. Now, where do we find, di ba may turo tayo sa Adventist na bawal magsugal? Gambling. Where do we find gambling here? False witness? Have to think about that one. Okay? Because you have to... Okay, except for my grandfather who totally knew what he was getting into and still did it anyway. Yeah. But generally, yung mga casinos will be somewhat deceptive. Yeah? Where else can we see coveting? Yes, gusto ko na makaroon ng kayamanan na hindi ko pinagtrabahuan. Hindi yun ang plano ng Diyos. Hindi yun ang system na set up ng Diyos. At the fall, He gave us a curse which was a blessing of work. Okay? Where else can we see gambling? Name and fame? Not acting like Christians. How do we know that we're not acting like Christians? Okay. So instead of trusting the Lord, naghahanap tayo ng shortcut. All right? How about this one? How can gambling be stealing? May agreement naman yung dalawang party. No other gods. It often becomes an addiction na mas mahalaga talaga, overtakes our life. Meron kaming kasabihan sa Amerika na ang lottery is a voluntary tax. Kasi most ng mga lotteries is done by the government, right? So, at alam naman natin na we always lose. Always lose. Yeah. So, we could be saying that this is actually stealing from our families, stealing from the Lord's work, stealing from all the places that we're supposed to be using those means, kung saan dapat gamitin yung mga means na yan. Okay, so ang point ko dito is, ang isang prinsipyo na may application, maaari yung application na yun ay may mga sub-principles pa. May mga sub-applications pa. Okay. What about manipulation? Again, balik sa review. Can you be an Adventist animist? How can you be an Adventist pero animist pa rin? Gambling? Okay. What is it called? Ano ang tawag kapag sabay-sabay nagpapagamot sa ospital at sa albularyo? Aha. Syncretism. Okay. What's another way of doing syncretism na hindi sobrang halata? Like, hindi naman ako, I don't go to the shaman, hindi ako pupunta sa albularyo, but I'm still working in this system. Drugs? Okay. All right. What am I manipulating with drugs? The mind? Okay. All right. Looking for some other examples also? How can I be an Adventist pero yung system ko is manipulation, hindi relationship? Salvation by works. What are some examples na common in Adventism? Paying tithes to? Paying tithes to go to heaven. Or, kagaya ng lolo ko noon, paying tithes para yumaman. Yeah, kasi nakasulat dun sa paborito nating reading sa na kung magbigay tayo ng ikapo, bubuksan daw yung pintuan ng langit. Nakakatakot yan. Hindi ko pa nakita yung bintana pala ng langit na nabuksan. Okay? Some more examples. How can we be trying to manipulate God? Making Bible an amulet. Yes, I have a story for that. I will tell you, kung kaya natin, I will tell you that story later on. Because it's a great story na pwede ninyong dalhin naman sa lugar ninyo. Alright? Good. Ano pa? There's something that's really, really common. Doing good for the wrong reasons? Yeah. How about in our worship services? Program-oriented. May at least sa Mindoro, hindi ko alam sa inyo, pero sa Mindoro, talagang may nagsasabi, if you don't do the program this way, lumalabag ka sa Panginoon. Kasi ito ang sabi ng conference. You haven't experienced that? Oh man, that's really, really common in Mindoro. It is the idea na kailangan i-appease ko ang Panginoon sa pamamagitan ng correct order of service, correct types of songs. Kailangan magsimba ng buong araw. Nasa church, nasa loob ng church, buong araw. I'm not talking about whether that's right or wrong necessarily, kundi pinipilit lang natin ang sarili natin na gawin yan para i-manipulate ang Panginoon. All right. There's another way to look at this. Fasting. Oh. Yeah. I personally am actually a little bit uncomfortable with the idea of tuwing pangalawang Martes ng buwan ay mag-fasting tayo, parang ganon. Hindi ganon ang nakikita kong fast sa Biblia. They fasted typically as a response to a problem or a great need. They needed to come to the Lord. They needed to get tight with the Lord again. Yeah. All right. So, another way of looking at this, we call this this is used in logic and mathematics, pero in sociology, pero applicable din naman sa atin. So a bounded set ay isang worldview, isang system, worldview system na ginagamit ng tao. Okay? So in a bounded set, anything inside the circle is good. Anything outside of the circle is bad. Anything inside, if you are inside the circle, then you are saved. Ligtas ka kung dito sa loob. If you are outside of the circle, not saved. Parang natutulog pa rin kayo yata. If you're inside the circle, you are saved. If you're outside, you are not saved or lost. Okay. So what is the top priority ng mga tao in a bounded system? To not do the things outside. And how do I know what things are outside? Have a list. It is super, super important sa mga bounded set, mindset people, worldview, na i-define talaga itong boundary. Because if I'm here, am I saved? Yes. If I'm here, am I saved? Yes. If I'm right here, 3 nanometers away from the boundary, am I still saved? Okay. But what if I am 3 nanometers outside of the boundary? I'm not saved anymore. Not saved. Huh? Yeah. So, para sa mga bounded set worldview, napaka-importante na i-define exactly kung ano ba talaga ang boundary na ito. Ano ang result? It results in like what we were talking about yesterday with the Jews. May another example ako. Di ba tinignan natin yung Sabbath day's journey? Ganon sila because they had a bounded set theory, bounded set mind view or worldview. So kailangan i-define exactly how long is a Sabbath day journey at how long is breaking the Sabbath. So meron pa silang isang paniniwala para ingatan daw ang Sabado. They could not carry a burden. Hindi pwede magdala ng karga sa Sabado. Trabaho yon. Well, then they had to define what is a burden. What is work? If I carry my own clothes, trabaho ba yon? Kasi pinapasan ko naman. Dala-dala ko ang mga damit ko. So, trabaho ba ito? They decided no, because that's basic modesty. Kailangan talaga yon. But what about si Michael, may dala-dala lagi siyang panyo? How about a panyo? A handkerchief. Is that carrying a load, carrying a burden, or not? For us, no. For them, yes. If I'm carrying it in my pocket, then meron akong dalang karga. Kahit gaano kanipis, kahit gaano kagaan, I'm still carrying a load. But, kailangan naman nila ng panyo, pang puna sa mukha nila, siguro pang ng sipon nila. So what did they do? Not just tied it. They put it on their shoulder, and then they put 1 or 2 stitches. Isa o dalawang takpi, sa panyo, and then it was not a load because it was sewn on, it was part of the clothing. Kasama na yun sa baro mo. Kaya hindi na burden, hindi na karga yun. Okay? That is what results from bounded set thinking. You have to define it so carefully. Do we ever do any of that in Adventism? Do we debate in Sabbath school and AY what is appropriate and not appropriate on Sabbath? Do we sometimes get offended? Do we sometimes get hurt over these trying to define exactly what is Sabbath and not Sabbath? And tell people that you're saved or not saved base sa aking interpretation kung saan ang boundary. Okay. Not all bounded set thinking is bad. I'm just pointing out this particular aspect. ng bounded set thinking. How about now, we go to what's called centered set thinking. So in this case, the center is, what's the center of our faith? Yes. Okay? So in this case, may isang tao na really close in his lifestyle. Yung kanyang pamumuhay is very similar to God. And then you have someone who is really different. Malayong-malayo talaga ang kanyang pamumuhay sa ugali ng Panginoon. But this person, even though his lifestyle is like God, but he's actually, in his heart, he's moving away from God. And this person, even though ang kanyang tainga puno-puno ng, or whatever other standard we have, hindi siya nagsisimba sa Sabado, drogista, kung ano-ano mga ginagawa niya, but this person has turned his life around and wants to go back to God. Now, outwardly, sa kanyang appearance at sa kanyang pamumuhay at this point, does he look like a Christian? He does not look like a Christian, but he's moving towards God. He's making progress towards God. Which of these two is saved? In this thinking, in this logic. This one is the one that's saved. This one is not. So in this type of thinking, where is the point? Sa anong point na masabi natin na saved ang tao? When the person turns around and is heading back towards God. Maaring malayong-malayo pa siya, by all appearances. But what God is looking at is the heart. Kung patungo siya sa Diyos, or palayo siya. Going away. Okay? So we're going to add to the list here. One last illustration of this before we move on to other topics. Yeah. Bitin pa kayo sa art. So dagdagan ko pa lalo. Let's see if I can do this. No. Ano yun? Huh? Oh, balde, bucket. Good. All right. At least you recognize it. Let's see if I can do another one. And one more. Urukan ba? No. Hindi ganun kaganda yung drawing ko. Okay, so these are the three buckets. In the first bucket, has anyone heard of this before? No? Okay. In the first bucket, in the top bucket, I should say, top bucket. In the top bucket, we have itong mga bagay na dapat gawin. So as a Christian, I put in the top bucket all of the things that as a Christian, dapat kong gawin, that I should do. I positively need to do. What are some things as Christians na dapat talaga natin gawin? Keep the law, okay. Pray, all right. Read the Bible, all right. Go to church. Obedience. By the way, just a question. Wala namang ibig sabihin other than pangpalawak ng isip natin. Did the Israelites in Moses' day, did they go to church? I hear yes and I hear no. Ano ba talaga?
Every Sabbath.
Every Sabbath. Did they go to church on Sabbath? Yes Are you sure? Where, if they went to church, where did they go to church? Walang synagogue. Synagogue started in exile in Babylon. In their house, in their tents. The temple was not a church. The temple was God's house, and it was a place of sacrifice, and only yung mga priests ang allowed inside. The people were allowed to come into the courtyard kapag may sacrifice, and sometimes to pray. Okay, pero wala silang church services. Wala silang worship services na gagawin in regular worship services. They worshipped in their homes. Pangpaisip lang yan. Okay. Hindi ko ibig sabihin na huwag na tayong magsimba. Okay? Ang sinabi doon sa Hebrews 10, huwag kaligtaan ang pagkaipon-ipon. Don't neglect gathering together. Okay? Hindi ang ibig kong sabihin ay huwag na magsimba. Just pangpaisip lang. Pangpalawak ng kaisipan. Alright. The bottom bucket. Actually, following up on that, kasi parang yung lesson in principles is pangpalawak na ng isip. Where in the Bible does it command us to go to church? There are commands about what to do and not to do on Sabbath, pero saan nakasulat na pumasok kayo sa simbahan? It says to gather. It does say to gather. Do not forsake the gathering. So, many times we interpret that gathering as going to church. Are there other possible interpretations, other possible ways to gather for worship of God? All right. Anyway, balik tayo. Bottom bucket. Ito ang mga bagay na hindi dapat gawin. Bilang isang Kristiyano, hindi dapat gawin. So what are some things, bilang mga Kristiyano kayo, na hindi dapat gawin? Anong ilagay mo sa bottom bucket? Magano? Dirty water. Drinking dirty water. Yep. Okay? Yep. Totoo yan. Ano pa? Ano po? I shall not murder. Hindi ko papatayin si Michael na walang kasalanan. Kawawa naman siya. He's a good guy. Ano pa? Ano pang sa bottom bucket? Come now. Chismis. Hindi dapat na tayo mag-chismis. Ang sabi sa Proverbs, matamis sa bibig, pero pagdating sa atiyan, mapait. Parang yung aklat ni Daniel daw. Yun din. Yep. All right. So what goes in the middle bucket? Can you guess? What goes in the middle bucket? These are things you should do. These are things you should not do. Is everything something you should do or should not do? Hindi naman lukewarm ito. Laodicea yun. Ito yung mga bagay na depende sa situation, depende sa circumstances kung dapat gawin or hindi dapat gawin. Can you give me an example? Hindi ko tinuturo ngayon ang relativism, that there's no absolute truth and anything goes. Hindi yun ang ibig kong sabihin. But are there really things that depend on the circumstances whether you should do or not do? Okay, then give me some examples. Okay. All right. Ang example ay hindi ako nakaarating sa church dahil sa daan nasiraan ng isang tao at tinulungan ko siya para makapatuloy. Okay? Good? Some other examples. Ano ang mga middle bucket issues? Finding food on the Sabbath. Oh boy, be careful, brother. All right? Pero alam naman natin yung mga alagad, nung nagutom sila, naglakad pa sila. Yeah, more than 1 kilometer. All right? Ano pa? Buying diesel. All right? Medicine. Oh, medicine. Medicine. Okay, narinig ko ay diesel. Yeah. All right? Medicine. How about doctors working in the hospital? So, if it's appropriate for doctors to work in the hospital on Sabbath, what about EMT? Yung mga rescue workers. Is it appropriate for them to rescue people on the Sabbath? Okay. Well, how about then the police? Because they're like half rescue workers and half preventing bad crimes from happening. What about yung pinag-usapan natin kahapon, yung kuryente? Electricians, at least the people that keep the system, the electrical system going. I don't know. I'm not here to tell you yes or no. Pangpaisip lang ito. Pangpalawak lang ng isip. But I will tell you this. Look, people ask me, hindi ako naninigarilyo. Pwede ba akong magbenta ng sigarilyo sa aking tindahan? Why not? If it's gonna kill me, I'm not gonna smoke because it's gonna kill me slowly, but it's gonna kill me, right? So why would I help Michael die? I will not facilitate or help Michael killing himself. Okay? So kung hindi okay sa akin, hindi ko rin tulungan ng ibang tao na gawin yon. So, kung hindi ako pwedeng mag-maintain ng electrical system sa Sabado, then logically, hindi rin ako dapat gumamit ng kuryente sa Sabado. If I'm paying someone else to do it for me, I'm participating in that. That's why most Adventists say, I don't eat in restaurants on Sabbath. Kasi ayaw kong bayaran, hindi naman ako nagtatrabaho, pero ayaw kong bayaran ng ibang tao para magtrabaho para sa akin. Okay? So, I just want us to think. Pangpalawak lang ng isip ito. Okay. Top bucket. What goes in the top bucket? Things that we should do. What goes in the bottom bucket? Things that we... Only 3 people are answering. What goes in the bottom bucket? Come. Parang iba yatang pinag-usapan dito sa likod ah. What goes in the bottom bucket dito sa likod? Anong dapat nilagay sa baba? Ang mga hindi dapat gawin. What goes in the middle bucket? Depending on the situation. Okay, I need 100% participation in the next activity. Kasi delikado ito. I need every person in this room, naintindihan ko naman yung mga bata, pero all of the adults, kailangan magpikit. Okay? And make sure that the camera is facing forward, that they can't see the audience. Okay? We're going to have an activity where I'm going to ask you, tatanong ako sa inyo ng ilang mga bagay. So I will say something like, wearing a tie, pagsusuot ng kurbata, is it a top bucket? Kung sa tingin mo dapat gawin yan, taas ka ng kamay. Then I'll say, middle bucket. Kung sa tingin mo ay situational, di taas kamay pag sabi ko ng middle bucket. If you think it's wrong, di taas kamay pag sabi ko ng bottom bucket. Okay? And this has to be anonymous. So kailangan lahat nakapikit. All right, just a minute. Let me get my list of questions here. All right, I am ready. On the count of 3, lahat pipikit. 1, 2, 3, pikit. Okay, kailangan manatiling nakapikit ang lahat. Please, may ilang mga tao na hindi pa rin nakapikit. Okay? Okay? Thank you. Okay. Now I'm going to ask these questions. Going to church on Sabbath. Patuloy magpikit. Top bucket? Okay. Put your hands down. Middle bucket? Kailangan pong nakapikit. Kung hindi pwedeng magpikit, please leave the building. Hindi pwede talagang may nakabukas ng mga mata. Okay, pause muna. You can open your eyes. We have some people that are not okay with closing your eyes. Kung hindi po nakapikit, kailangan lumabas muna saglit. I'm really serious about this. Either pikit or mag-break muna. Okay? Wala tayong pwedeng, this should not be a cause for later on sabihin, oh, yung tao na ito, ganito. Ganun ang kanyang paniniwala or tingin. Okay? I'm really, really serious about this. If you need to take notes now, and then we're going to do this activity again. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3, pick it. All right, thank you. So once again, we're going to start again. Going to church on Sabbath. Top bucket. Raise your hand if it's a top bucket. Dapat gawin. Okay, put your hands down. Kung middle bucket, it depends on the situation. Pakitaas ang kamay. Okay, put your hands down, please. Bottom bucket. Taas ang kamay kung hindi dapat gawin. Okay? Please, we're going on to the next one. Going to church on Wednesday. Top bucket. Dapat gawin. Okay? Put your hands down. Middle bucket. Depende sa situation. Okay? Bottom bucket. Bawal gawin. All right? Let's see. Next one. Reading the Bible daily. Is this a top bucket? Dapat gawin. Is this a middle bucket? Is this a middle bucket? Once again, please. Okay, is this a bottom bucket? Na wag gawin. All right. Drinking milk tea. Is this a top bucket? Na dapat gawin. Okay, is this a middle bucket? Na depende sa situation. All right, is this a bottom bucket? Na wag gawin. All right, good, good. How about eating pork? Top bucket, dapat gawin. Middle bucket, depende sa situation. Bottom bucket, hindi talaga pwedeng gawin. All right. Sleeping on Sabbath. Dapat gawin. Middle bucket, hindi depende sa situation. All right, bottom bucket, hindi dapat gawin. All right. Interesting. Witnessing about Jesus. Dapat gawin? Middle bucket, depende sa situation. Bottom bucket, never dapat gawin. All right. Eating fish. Kumain ng isda. Dapat gawin? Para sa asawa ko, talagang dapat gawin. Hindi naman. Middle bucket, bottom bucket, hindi dapat gawin. All right? Eating rice. Oh, alam ko sa Pilipinas. Dapat gawin? Top bucket? Middle bucket, depende sa situation. Bottom bucket, hindi dapat kumain ng rice. Thank you. Women serving as elders. Dapat gawin? Depende sa situation? Or hindi dapat gawin? Alright? Swimming on Sabbath. Dapat gawin? Reminder, pikit ang lahat. Okay, what were we on? Swimming on Sabbath. Dapat gawin? Depende sa situation? Or wag gawin? Bottom bucket. All right. Men cooking and cleaning. Dapat ba ang mga lalaki maglinis at magluto? Top bucket, dapat gawin. Oh. Sabihin ko na lang, maraming babae ang nagtaas ng kamay. Just kidding. Okay, middle bucket, depende sa situation. Bottom bucket, hindi dapat gawin. All right. Drinking alcohol. Dapat gawin? Top bucket? Depende sa situation? Middle bucket? Or bawal gawin? Bottom bucket? Alright? Buying gas on Sabbath para makapunta sa church. Top bucket? Dapat gawin? Middle bucket? Depende sa situation? Or bottom bucket? Huwag gawin. Alright? Drinking milk. Top bucket? Dapat mag-inom ng gatas? Middle bucket, depende sa situation. Or bottom bucket, huwag gawin. Alright, put your hands down and pwede na magbukas ng mata. Alright, pasensya na talagang mahigpit ako sa sa pagpipikit. Pero for safety's sake. Alright, sa palagay ninyo, gaano karami nagkakasundo kayong lahat? How many of them do you think that everyone agreed on? No, how many questions? How many questions? Everyone said the same answer. I'm here to tell you, wala kahit isa. You're the first group ever that not even one question nakasundo ang lahat. But I'll tell you, you're very close to the normal. Because normally there's only one or maybe two na nakakasundo ang lahat. What do you think is the percentage of agreement sa inyo? Sa tingin ninyo, how much do you agree? Kung hulaan mo lang yung percentage of agreement, what do you think? Less. You're a little bit higher than the average. The average, we've done this all around the world, usually with relatively conservative Adventist groups that are mission-minded, and the average is about 12%. You're a little bit higher than that, so maybe 15 to 17%. Okay, but I'm proud of you kasi marami kayo sa middle bucket. You are more than the average around the world in saying middle bucket things. Why do I say I'm proud of you on that? Are all things middle bucket? Parang nag-aalanganin ng iba. Lahat ba ng bagay ay dapat middle bucket? No. Merong mga bagay na talagang dapat gawin. Merong mga bagay na hindi talaga dapat gawin. But I will tell you this. After more than 30 years in missions, myself personally, and studying missions and observing missions and missionaries, ang mga nagiging successful at makapagtagal sa field, makakonect sa mga tao, nakakapagtanim ng mga churches na healthy, contextualized, and reproducing, lumalaki ang kanilang middle bucket. Not everything goes into the middle bucket. Pero usually, pag simula tayo sa missions, malaki ang top bucket, malaki rin ang bottom bucket. If that stays that way, usually the missionary burns out and goes home. Nagiging frustrated siya. Or matindi yung culture shock at hindi kayang mag-adjust. Or, ang kanyang mission ay tinatawag namin durable alien. Have you heard of a durable alien? Probably spelling that wrong. Hindi naman alien galing sa outer space. Yung alien, ibig sabihin na dayuhan. Hindi taga-kultura na yon. Yung durable alien, hindi marunong makibagay sa kultura kung saan siya nakatira. People who maintain huge top buckets and huge bottom buckets usually end up being durable aliens and are not effective. Most effective missionaries that last, their middle bucket over time gets larger. Because they start to go back to principle-based living. They start to study the Bible base sa mga prinsipyo doon. They start to move away from legalism. They start to understand the difference between manipulation and relationship. Is what I'm doing actually, we say relationship, we say para makabalik tayo sa Panginoon. But what is what I'm doing actually building a relationship? Do I actually know God better? Or do I just know about Him more? Do I actually love God? Or do I think that loving God is simply doing certain things? Have I ever actually experienced God's love? Have I ever heard Him whispering to me? Have I ever been so filled with His love na parang hindi ko matiis? Deuteronomy chapter 4. Yes, starting in 6. No. Baliktad. I have a little bit of dyslexia. 6:4. Thank you. Deuteronomy 6, chapter 4. Chapter 6, verse 4. 4 until 9. Can someone please read that? Deuteronomy 6, 4 to 9. Parang ready na si Kuya. Okay lang, dito sa mic. Kahit anong language, walang problema.
Deuteronomy 6:4 says here, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And this word which I commanded you today shall be in your heart. 7. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk to them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up."
And one more.
One more.
Mm-hmm.
You shall bind them as a sign in your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes.
Dalawa pala. Hanggang 9. One more.
You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Okay. Thank you. Ano ang pinaka-sentrong text ng Christianity? I need a book, chapter, and verse. Every Christian in the world knows this. John 3:16. Yes, absolutely. It should be that. But ang talagang kilalang-kilala everywhere around the world, everywhere we go, Christians always memorize, usually first, ang John 3:16. Do you know what the John 3:16 of the Jews was? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Chapter 6, verse 4. Every Jew knew this passage. Ito ang pinaka John 3:16 ng mga Jews. Every Friday night, they recited this. Lahat ng mga Jews, week after week after week after week after week, narinig nila ito. So nung nagtanong kay Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus answered with this, hindi naman nakakapagtaka. It's not just some obscure verse in the middle of the Old Testament. This was their statement of faith. Kung para sa mga Muslim, sabihin yung shahada. Kung sa mga Jews, you say this. Okay? What is the center of faith according to Israel, according to the Jewish religion? Love the Lord your God with what? Heart first. What does it mean to love galing sa puso? Ano ang pag-ibig sa puso? Pagmamahal sa puso? Ang daming ibigay? Handa mong ibigay. Handa mong ibigay ang lahat? Alright. What kind of love? Genuine, yes. But genuine what? Intimate? What are we referring to when we talk about our heart? Hindi naman mind. Mamaya pa yung mind. Love, what kind of love though? Because there are 3 types of love here. How do I lead you to this? When you see a heart on Valentine's Day, what kind of love are you thinking of? It's not agape. We could say eros, but it's not specifically eros that it's referring to here. We're talking about emotions. Okay, sa mga Papua New Guinea, sa kanila, yung bituka. Kaya kapag sinasabi ng isang binata sa kanyang kasintahan, mahal na mahal kita mula sa aking bituka. Ay, matindi na yun. Yeah. Para sa akin, parang napapasuka. Pero para sa kanila, matinding pagmamahal yon. Okay? Emotional love is what we're talking about. Have you ever experienced emotional love for God? You don't have to answer yes or no, but in your heart. Must experience it first. Mhm. If you have not yet experienced it, this verse says that that is part of the center of being a Christian, being a God follower, a God's person, a person of God. There we go. Kung hindi pa natin naranasan ang emotional love for God, then we need to do what Jacob did. Hindi naman yung presumptuous na parang inuutosan ng Panginoon, pero desperado. Hindi talaga kita aalpasin. Alpasan? Pagkawalaan? I will not let you go until you bless me. Sabi naman sa Jeremiah, search for the Lord, search until you search for me with all your heart. If you search for me with all your heart. Thank you. Sometimes, wala yun sa Christianity. Yung Christianity natin ay yung other two. What is loving the Lord your God with all your mind? Your thoughts, okay? Your decisions. Sa mga may asawa dito, especially yung mga hindi bagong kasal, yung emotional love ninyo, same ba ngayon sa nung bagong nagligawan kayo? Ubra na? Wow, matindi dala si Kuya. Congratulations. Yeah. Pero alam naman natin na yung mga emotions ay ganyan-ganyan. That's natural, that's normal. The same thing happens in our relationship with God. It's not always emotional. And that's okay. Now, if there's never any emotions, sa mga mag-asawa, kung wala nang emotions ever, healthy ba yon? No. Then you need to go back to dating. Not dating other people, dating your wife. Yeah, okay? So ganun din sa Diyos. But there are times when the emotions are low, and then what does it mean to love? With your mind. That's the choice. That's when love is a principle, not just an emotion. When love is a choice, not something that comes naturally. Pero I choose that I still love you. And then what does it mean to love with all of your soul? Well, marami tayong kadibate tungkol sa bagay na yun. What is the soul? But I'll tell you one thing. Pretty much all denominations will agree on this. The soul is the pinaka-center ng kung sino ka. Like it's the very essence of who you are. For us, we understand that that is body and life together. For other people, they think it's separate. But we all agree na yun ang pinaka-essence of who you are. Love the Lord your God. Somebody said over here, I think, love the Lord your God ng buong meron sa iyo. With everything that you are, with all that you have. Okay, these are the three types of love that are required upang maging isang tagasunod ni Jesus, tagasunod ng Diyos. Okay, so we move on to the next verse, and it says, these commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Anong mga utos? Ang 10 utos ba? It says the commandments I give you today, not back on Horeb. Anong command ang binigay niya that day as Moses was about to die? Love. The command to love with all of your heart, emotional love, with all of your mind, yung choice, yung decision, yung principle, and with all of your soul, ang pinaka-pagkatao mo. These are the laws that are supposed to be written on our hearts. And you're supposed to talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk on the road, when you lie down, when you stand up. Anong mga times ang hindi kasali dito? Sleeping, yeah. That's true. Hindi ko naisip yun. So all of your waking time, ito ang dapat minumuni-muni natin. Kahit habang nagtatrabaho tayo, dapat minumuni-muni pa rin natin ito. We still should be meditating and thinking on these things. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your forehead. Yung mga Jews, hanggang ngayon, ginagawa pa rin nila yon. Literally, tinatali nila, phylacteries. At literally, may leather pouch na tinatali nila sa ulo nila na may Bible verses inside. May Torah inside. Is that what the verse meant? As Adventists, we understand this well. What does it mean when we're talking about our hands, symbolically? Actions, the things that we do. What does it mean when we're talking about our forehead? Yung decisions, yung isip, yung actual thoughts and beliefs natin. So the love should be genuine inside, and we should also see the love played out. Hindi dapat sa loob lang, at hindi dapat kunyari lang na ginagawa sa kamay, but not really coming from inside. Okay? Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Who sees what's written on your gate? The strangers, yung mga tagalabas, yung mga hindi kasali sa atin. Who sees what's written on your doorpost of your house? The family, the people on the inside. What is different between what is written on the gate? Anong iba doon sa gate at sa doorpost? Trick question. It's the same. It's the same. Hindi dapat iba ang pagmamahal natin dito sa loob. Remember, the law that we're supposed to write is this law, the law to love. Yun ang tukoy dito sa talata na ito. We shouldn't have a different law inside the house kaysa sa outside the house. Para sa ating family, kaysa sa mga tagalabas. Many people tell me there's a crisis of mga PK, mga pastor's kids, na lumalabas dahil sa issue na ito. Dahil yung mga narinig nila sa mga tatay nila sa pulpito was different from what they experienced in their home. And that's a crisis, that's a problem, that's sad. But it's also sad when it goes the other way. When we can't be genuine and authentic with the people on the outside. Kasi takot tayo kung anong isip nila tungkol sa atin. When we have become so formalistic na hindi tayo pwedeng maging genuine and real people to those on the outside, then we also have an unhealthy system, an unhealthy relationship. It should be the same on the inside and on the outside. Friends, this is the heart of being a follower of God. Dito sa puno kanina, this is the puno. Kung hindi tama ito, hindi okay yung bunga. If we spend so much time thinking about these, forgetting where they come from, where they should come from, hindi rin maging healthy ang bunga. This whole topic about principles, kahapon at hanggang ngayon, the intention is to help us to move from legalism to appropriate application of principles, to move away from manipulation, to move back to relationship with God, to move to a bounded set where we can understand people are in different places with different understandings, but going towards God, growing together towards God. Some may be a little bit ahead in lifestyle, some may be a little bit different understanding in lifestyle, but we're heading towards God. We love the Lord our God with all of our heart, mind, soul, inside and outside, all day long, all night long, everything we do, everything we think, everything that we are. That is what you need to take to the mission field. Yun ang kailangan dalhin mo sa iyong pag-mission. Everything else comes out of that. Alright. Tanong dagdag kontra. Kung wala, kunting maaga, pero usually we're a little bit late. So let's break a little bit early, and then we'll move on to the next topic.